the mysteries of the cult of Mithras. The secret religion of Rome's Legionaries' Knight had fallen along the frontier of the Roman Empire. Beyond the wooden fortifications, a dark forest whispered in the wind. The cries of nocturnal birds echoed through the wilderness, while a cold breeze swept across the legionary camp. For most soldiers, the day had come to an end, but for a small group of men, it was only beginning. Without speaking a word, they quietly left the camp and walked toward an unremarkable stone building, partially hidden beneath the earth. There were no towering marble columns, no grand statues of Jupiter, and no open courtyards like those found in Rome's public temples. The entrance was narrow, as if welcoming only those who already knew the way. Inside, torches flickered. Their light danced across walls covered with mysterious reliefs. At the far end of the chamber stood a single image, one that archaeologists would eventually uncover nearly 2,000 years later in dozens of countries across the former Roman Empire. A young man dressed in Eastern clothing plunges a dagger into a powerful bull. Around him stand a dog, a serpent, a scorpion, a raven, and two mysterious figures holding raised torches. What did this scene mean? Why does it appear in almost every temple dedicated to Mithras? And why did one of the Roman Empire's most influential religions almost completely disappear from history? Today, scholars can answer only some of these questions. The rest remains one of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. A religion that left. Almost no books behind history usually remembers the victors. That is why we know so much about the gods of Greece, the pyramids of Egypt, and the emperors of Rome. Yet some religions seem to have vanished into silence. The cult of Mithras is one of them. The paradox is remarkable. At the height of its influence, Mithraism spread across nearly every corner of the Roman Empire. Its followers lived in Britain, along the Rhine frontier, in Gaul, across the Balkans, in Asia Minor, in Syria, in North Africa, and, of course, in Rome itself. Archaeologists have discovered more than 400 Mithraea, underground temples dedicated to Mithras. New discoveries continue to be made even today. Yet there is one extraordinary problem. We know surprisingly little about what initiates were actually taught. The reason is simple. Unlike Christianity, Judaism, or the great philosophical schools of antiquity, Mithraism left almost no sacred writings of its own. Its teachings were passed on orally, in secret, only to those who had been initiated. When the religion disappeared, many of its secrets disappeared with it. Today, historians are forced to reconstruct its history from stone reliefs, inscriptions, archaeological discoveries, and scattered references written by outsiders. Who was Mithras? The name Mithras is far older than the Roman Empire itself. It appears in ancient Iranian traditions, where a deity associated with covenants, loyalty, and light played an important religious role. The Roman Mithras, however, was not simply the same god under a different name. Most scholars believe that the cult practiced throughout the Roman Empire during the 1st to 4th centuries AD developed within the Roman world itself, drawing inspiration from several Eastern traditions while becoming something entirely unique. For this reason, historians continue to debate its true origins. Some argue that Roman Mithraism evolved directly from Iranian religious beliefs. Others believe it was an entirely new mystery religion, inspired by Eastern ideas but created within the Roman Empire. The debate has continued for decades. One fact, however, is beyond dispute. By the 2nd century AD, the cult of Mithras had spread with astonishing speed. Why the Roman legionaries? One of the most fascinating questions is why Mithraism became especially popular among soldiers. Why are almost all known Mithraea connected to military forts? Why are women almost entirely absent from the archaeological evidence? Gradually, archaeology began providing answers. Across the empire, from Britain to the Danube frontier, Mithraea have been discovered near Roman military installations. Numerous inscriptions reveal that many of these temples were built or supported by soldiers, officers, and retired veterans. Historians believe the religion particularly appealed to men whose lives were shaped by danger and discipline. A Roman legionary faced death almost every day. He depended on loyalty, brotherhood, courage, absolute trust in those beside him. The cult of Mithras offered exactly that. Its initiation ceremonies united men regardless of where they came from. A Spaniard, a Gaul, a Thracian, a Syrian. Inside the temple, they became brothers. Within the multicultural Roman army, such unity was extraordinarily powerful. Secret temples. Beneath the earth, entering a temple dedicated to Jupiter meant stepping into an open, magnificent public sanctuary. A Mithraeum looked completely different. Most were built underground or partially carved into the earth. Even when located above ground, their interiors were deliberately designed to resemble caves. This was no accident. The cave held profound symbolic meaning. Inside, long stone benches usually lined both sides of a narrow central aisle. At the far end stood the sacred altar, and almost always above it appeared the famous image of Mithras slaying the bull. The layout made each temple feel less like a public place of worship and more like the meeting place of a private brotherhood. Most Mithraea could accommodate only 20 to 30 people. Some held even fewer. This suggests that Mithraism was never a mass religion in the traditional sense. Instead, it consisted of countless small communities spread throughout the empire. The most mysterious image of the ancient world archaeologists call it the Tauroctony. Nearly every Mithraeum contains some version of the same remarkable scene. Mithras, wearing his distinctive Phrygian cap, kneels upon a massive bull. One hand grips the animal, the other drives a dagger into its neck. From the dying creature, new life appears to emerge. Nearby stand a dog, a serpent, a scorpion, sometimes a lion, often a raven. On either side stand two torchbearers. This single image became the defining symbol of Mithraism. But what does it actually represent? Here the mystery truly begins. No surviving ancient text explains its meaning. Modern scholars have proposed dozens of interpretations. Some believe it symbolizes life triumphing over death. Others connect it to ancient astronomy and constellations. Some interpret it as a symbolic representation of the creation of the universe itself. Yet no single explanation has gained universal acceptance. It is one of those rare moments in archaeology where hundreds of nearly identical images survive, but the key to understanding them has been lost. The 7 grades of initiation. Despite the absence of sacred texts, inscriptions have allowed archaeologists to reconstruct part of Mithraism's initiation system. Evidence suggests that members advanced through 7 distinct grades. Each possessed its own name and symbolic meaning. Raven, bridegroom, soldier, lion, Persian, heliodromus, the runner of the sun, father. Some inscriptions associate these grades with masks, animals, and celestial symbols. But how were initiates promoted? No one knows for certain. Later, Christian writers claim that candidates underwent difficult trials before advancing. Modern historians treat these accounts cautiously, since they were written by critics of the cult and may contain exaggerations. Even so, most scholars agree that initiation was gradual and accompanied by ceremonies known only to members of the Brotherhood, a mystery that has survived 2,000 years. Even today, archaeologists continue to uncover new Mithraea beneath the streets of modern Rome, under ancient forts in Germany, across Britain. After nearly 2,000 years of silence, these hidden underground temples continue to ask questions that history has yet to answer. Why did the cult of Mithras spread across almost the entire Roman Empire within only a few generations? What words were spoken during its secret ceremonies? What truly happened during initiation? And why did a religion that once united thousands of people almost completely disappear, leaving behind only stone walls, mysterious reliefs, and the feeling that the most important part of its story still lies hidden in the darkness? For centuries, the hidden temples of Mithras lay forgotten beneath the cities of Europe. The Roman Empire collapsed. Its legions disappeared. New kingdoms rose upon the ruins of ancient provinces. Yet beneath streets, churches, castles, and modern buildings, the underground sanctuaries remained untouched, preserving the silence of a religion that had once captivated thousands. Then archaeologists began to uncover them. Each discovery revealed another piece of a puzzle that is still far from complete. Lost beneath the eternal city. One of the most remarkable discoveries was made in Rome itself. Beneath the Basilica of San Clemente, archaeologists uncovered an underground Mithraic temple that had remained hidden for nearly 16 centuries. Descending into the darkness feels like traveling backward through time. Above stands a medieval church. Beneath it lie the remains of an early Christian basilica, and even deeper rests a perfectly preserved Mithraeum, complete with stone benches, an altar, and the familiar image of Mithras slaying the sacred bull. It is one of dozens of Mithraic temples discovered beneath the modern city. Each tells the same story. This religion once flourished quietly beneath the surface of Roman society. What really happened? During the rituals? This remains one of archaeology's greatest unanswered questions. Unlike many ancient religions, Mithraism deliberately kept its ceremonies secret. Those who were initiated swore never to reveal what took place inside the temples. Because of that oath, almost no first-hand descriptions survive. Ancient Christian writers claim that initiates underwent difficult trials involving darkness, fire, and symbolic tests of courage. Some even described elaborate ceremonies intended to represent death and rebirth. Modern historians approach these accounts with caution. Most were written by opponents of Mithraism who sought to discredit rival religions. Archaeological evidence paints a more careful picture. Excavations reveal dining benches where members likely shared ritual meals. Animal bones discovered inside several Mithraea suggest communal feasts were an important part of worship. Lamps, incense burners, drinking vessels, and ceremonial objects indicate that light, shared meals, and symbolic acts played central roles. Beyond these clues, however, certainty ends. Much of the ritual remains lost forever. A brotherhood bound by loyalty. Unlike public Roman religion, Mithraism emphasized personal commitment. Joining the cult was not automatic. It required initiation. Advancing through the 7 grades demanded dedication and loyalty. Members addressed one another as brothers. For Roman soldiers stationed thousands of kilometers from home, this sense of belonging was invaluable. Within the walls of a Mithraeum, differences in language and birthplace disappeared. A legionary from Spain could share a sacred meal beside a merchant from Syria or an officer from Gaul. What united them was not nationality. It was the oath they shared, the symbols that still puzzle. Historians, every Mithraic temple contains recurring symbols: the raven, the lion, the serpent, the scorpion, the dog, the torchbearers, the zodiac, the sun, the moon. None appear by accident. Many scholars believe these images represent the cosmos itself. Some researchers argue that the famous bull-slaying scene encodes an astronomical map based on ancient constellations. Others interpret it as a symbolic explanation of the cycle of life, death, and renewal. Still others see echoes of ancient Persian mythology transformed within the Roman world. No interpretation has been universally accepted. The symbolism remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles of ancient religion. Why did the cult disappear? For nearly 3 centuries, Mithraism spread steadily across the Roman Empire. Then, within only a few generations, it almost vanished. The reason lies in one of history's greatest turning points. During the 4th century AD, Christianity rapidly became the dominant religion of the Roman Empire. Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity. Later emperors increasingly supported the church. Eventually, Emperor Theodosius I declared Nicene Christianity the official religion of the empire and prohibited many traditional pagan practices. As Christianity expanded, Mithraic temples were gradually abandoned. Some were carefully sealed. Others were destroyed. Several were converted into Christian buildings. Unlike public temples dedicated to Jupiter or Mars, the small underground Mithraea depended upon close-knit communities. When those communities disappeared, their religion disappeared with them. Its sacred teachings, preserved only through oral tradition, were never written down. Their silence became permanent. The discoveries that changed history. During the last 2 centuries, archaeology has transformed our understanding of Mithraism. More than 400 Mithraea have been identified across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East. One of the most famous was discovered beneath the streets of London. Today, visitors can walk through the reconstructed London Mithraeum, where Roman merchants and soldiers once gathered nearly 2,000 years ago. In Germany, Austria, Romania, Hungary, and France, excavations continue to reveal altars, inscriptions, sculptures, and ceremonial objects. Every discovery answers one question while raising several more. Who carved these reliefs? What prayers were spoken? What promises did initiates make before entering the brotherhood? History remains silent. The greatest mystery of all. Perhaps the most astonishing fact is not what we know. It is what we do not know. Hundreds of temples, thousands of inscriptions, hundreds of sculptures. And yet the central beliefs of Mithraism remain elusive. Few ancient religions have left behind so much archaeological evidence while preserving so little of their own voice. The followers of Mithras succeeded in protecting their secrets so completely that even after 2 millennia, historians can reconstruct only fragments of their spiritual world. It is one of the rare mysteries where the physical evidence is abundant, but the meaning has largely vanished. A legacy hidden beneath our feet. Today, millions of people walk above forgotten Mithraic temples without realizing what lies below. Office buildings stand over ancient sanctuaries. Subway stations pass beside Roman altars. Modern cities continue to grow over the hidden remains of one of antiquity's most enigmatic religions. Every archaeological excavation offers another opportunity, another hidden chamber, another inscription, another fragment of a story nearly lost forever. Perhaps somewhere beneath the streets of Rome, Cologne, London, or Vienna, another untouched Mithraeum still waits to be discovered. Perhaps its walls preserve symbols that scholars have never seen. Perhaps it contains an inscription capable of answering questions that have puzzled historians for centuries. Or perhaps the greatest secret of the cult of Mithras will remain exactly where its followers intended it to remain, hidden in darkness. And that may be the most remarkable legacy they left behind. Even after 2,000 years, the Brotherhood of Mithras continues to guard its greatest mystery.